Hello, everybody. We are What If Sportscast. I'm Tim. This is Kyle. Woo-hoo. We got NFL draft coming up.
Yeah,
great
this Thursday.
One. Yep, great one. We're going to look back at a What If draft in 2017. So, with the number 2 overall pick in the 2017 NFL draft, the Chicago Bears select
Mitchell Trubisky, North Carolina.
What are they doing?
What the heck? It was a moment that lives in infamy. They passed up on Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Goes down to be one of the worst top 10 or top 3 picks, I would say.
See, I disagree.
Okay.
I disagree because I actually don't think it was a bad pick. You see what he did, especially the next year he got them to 12-4.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think it was a bad pick. And I think if one of those other ones were in that situation, they wouldn't be as good. I think if Patrick Mahomes goes there, he's not as good. Honestly.
I will agree to an extent. I think Patrick Mahomes, he was a raw talent coming from Texas Tech. He had a big arm, and I do think he is propelled himself into a superstar because of Andy Reid. But I think Patrick Mahomes...
Not just Andy Reid, though. Look at all the stuff around him. Just
True.
Amazing talent around him. You arguably have the best tight end ever catching passes from you.
The offense and the personnel around Mahomes was by far better than Mitch Trubisky. The Bears team in that 2017, they were not very good. So I do agree with that, but I think Patrick Mahomes, talent-wise, is better than Trubisky, so I think he would have been
I think
better.
Now it is, but confidence is huge, man, when you're put in those situations. But let's go back to the draft. I think the number one biggest thing that they did was trade up to number 2.
Yeah. So
what they traded for.
Yeah.
It was like, wow, that's a king's ransom. And then a few years later, he's not even on your team.
Yeah.
So go ahead. You can say what they...
Yeah, so the Bears had the number 3 pick. They traded up one spot with the 49ers. They gave up pick number 3, a 3rd rounder in that draft, a 4th rounder in that draft, and then a 2018 3rd rounder. The players that ended up getting picked in those the 3rd overall was Solomon Thomas, defensive end. He went to the 49ers. The 3rd rounder was Alvin Kamara. That pick was later traded to the Saints. And the 4th rounder was Tedrick Thompson. He was a safety. That pick was traded to the Seahawks. And then the 2018 3rd rounder, 49ers kept that, drafted Fred Warner, linebacker. So 3 pretty good picks. Alvin Kamara, Solomon Thomas, Fred Warner. I don't really know much about Tedrick Thompson.
It's honestly, it doesn't even really matter who they picked because if they would have held on to those, they probably would have picked different people. Yeah. I mean, you see Alvin Kamara... Obviously, everybody knows that name. Exactly. So it just kind of puts it in your mind, oh, wow, they could have had that as well.
Yeah.
But are the 49ers even going to pick a QB probably?
Probably not.
Like,
I don't think.
Are they picking that because the 49ers had a deal with somebody else to pick that? Like maybe the Chiefs, for example. Did the Chiefs want to move up to number 2?
Yeah.
And pick Trubisky?
Who knows?
Because there's no reason that they're going to do it unless they think
somebody
is going to take him at 2.
Yeah. Which the biggest thing with drafting Trubisky, though, is he only started 13 games in his college career at North Carolina. And you're passing up Deshaun Watson, who went to Clemson. He has a lot more experience. Patrick Mahomes had a lot more experience. So the biggest thing with Trubisky is just his lack of experience, probably. Yeah.
But that just shows how good he is, though, too, because he only had that 13 games. And, yeah, these people are saying, like, oh, man, like, what are you doing? It's easy to say now, wow, you passed up on these people to draft him. Well, of course, because we know what they ended up doing in the NFL.
Yeah.
However, they were drafted in a lot different circumstances. If Trubisky gets drafted, say, number 10 overall to KC, how do you think his career is?
I think it would be better than what it is now.
Amazing. I think he's still in the league.
I mean, he's still in the league now.
Well, yeah, but still actually...
He's like a backup.
Like playing. Like, I think he's a star in the league still.
Yeah.
And with that, I don't think... I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes wouldn't be still a starter.
Yeah.
I don't think he's anywhere close to where he is. Because he gets drafted. He gets 1 year just to sit.
Yeah.
Okay? Alex Smith, who is a great QB.
Exactly.
Honestly. Like... They honestly could have just rolled with that and probably been just fine. Probably would have won a Super Bowl or two, honestly. Yep. But he gets drafted gets to learn the offense, everything within a year. Dude, you got Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. You get Sammy Watkins the year that you start. Kareem Hunt is your running back.
They also had a great offensive line, which is huge for a quarterback, especially a young quarterback. So, yeah, I mean, that's just stuff that Chicago didn't have. But yeah, so
because like, and it's not like Chicago was terrible, but if you look at the players, Jordan Howard was their running back. Tyreek Cohen, who ended up probably being their top guy, he was their other running back. Wide receivers, Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel. Tight end, Trey Burton.
Yeah.
You are not saying one of those guys are better than a single Chief player at the same position.
Yeah.
Arguably, they wouldn't even be the number 2 person in that.
Yeah.
Like,
probably not.
For example, like wide receivers, you got Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins. I probably wouldn't have put Allen Robinson or Taylor Gabriel ahead of them.
Yeah, I would put
maybe Allen Robinson. Maybe
Allen Robinson was a maybe. He was kind of tearing up the league for a little bit, but I mean he only
very short-lived.
Yeah, very short-lived for sure. But Chicago, they were known for their defense. They had a pretty sure top 5 defense or close to that at least. And so their defense was better than probably Kansas City's defense. So it would have been defensive heavy for sure. But
well, and you got John Fox, who's a defensive minded coach. And so that is what you're looking at.
Yeah.
But to be able to take, like Trubisky, his second year was a Pro Bowler. He took him 12-4 record. It wasn't like, oh, he sucks or anything like that. You know, it's weird how quickly it turned.
Yeah.
You know, it went from, all right, hey, we still got our guy to they still, I mean, I guess now they have Caleb Williams.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, I think they found their guy, but who knows? You know?
I still think they got a lot of building to do. And I mean, what helps Chicago now is a lot of people want to come play with Caleb Williams. Like, they got DeAndre Swift and their wide receivers. Keenan Allen was a huge pickup for them last year, even though he's kind of getting up there in age. Rome Odunze, I think, is going to be really good. They've got a really good young tight end. So I think their roster is pretty good now. So, but yeah, if they would have drafted even Deshaun Watson or Patrick Mahomes instead, I think they could have maybe gotten to this point a lot sooner. And with how good their defense was, I think they would have been a strong contender.
I think it would have been very similar to Trubisky. I think they could have possibly started off good, but I don't think Mahomes is anywhere close to who he is today.
Yeah.
Because, like, think of, I mean, I always go back to basketball because I know basketball the most, you know. But think of Okafor, or not Okafor, Kwame Brown. Okay, he came out of high school. He was drafted by Charlotte Bobcats.
Yeah.
He was the next big thing. He was going to be this amazing guy.
Yeah.
Do you even know who Kwame Brown is? Because you were probably
I've
you were
heard
little.
His name, but
exactly.
That's about it.
And so he was having an okay season. It wasn't anything bad. But there's been numerous reports that Michael Jordan belittled him in practice because Michael Jordan was one of the players at that time. One of and so belittled him at that during that. And he always said that, like, the psychological really messed him up.
Yeah.
Where, all right, Patrick Mahomes gets in, starts. All right, hey, if I'm in trouble, I'm throwing it towards Travis Kelce. I'm throwing it just deep to Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Trubisky doesn't have that. So if, say, he switches there, or Deshaun Watson, who knows with him? He's...
Yeah.
I don't even want to touch him because you never, like...
Yeah.
He still is whatever. I don't even know.
He's
He's
a
up in
wild
there.
card. Yeah.
But... I don't think, say Trubisky has that, like blanket.
Yeah.
He's going to be a better quarterback than obviously, And I think sometimes that excels because you start doing stuff, you're like, all right, hey, I can do this. You're taking a little bit more chances because, hey, you can do this. And then you start seeing it, and in your mind, then it's like, oh, wow, I am good at that, and stuff. Yeah. And even if it's just you don't even realize, but psychologically you're like going, whereas, all right, Trubisky is having to make more plays than Mahomes per se. Yeah. Kind of thing, And so that's kind of how I see it.
But yeah, I mean, it's props on Chiefs because they had to trade up pretty far just to get Patrick Mahomes. They had the 27th overall pick in that draft. They traded all the way up to number 10 with the Buffalo Bills. And they kind of gave up quite a bit for that number 10 overall pick.
Which is crazy because they had Alex Smith.
Exactly.
Starting QB.
Yep.
And I can't remember for sure, but didn't they just come off of a deep playoff run too?
Yeah, they did.
Didn't they make it to like the conference championship that year?
They were a good team. So that's why it's like it's crazy vision and scouting of, hey, this is our chance to get our QB of the future while we still have Alex Smith to teach him. So, I mean, it's amazing that they were able to kind of do that.
And you can't even say that it was like luck because first-round draft picks in any sport are amazing, but in football are a really big thing.
They are.
Especially top 10 pick. Yeah. And you're having to trade quite a bit. I mean, you see like what we said earlier, what Chicago gave up for that, just moving up one spot is insane. But because we always talk about this with Jokic. The Nuggets got completely lucky with Jokic. They might say, oh, no, we were scouting this. If you were really that serious, you're trading up for him. You're getting him way earlier than that.
Oh, yeah.
Whereas they had 2 first-round draft picks that year. The Nuggets did. You're taking him at one of those if you're really that, Whereas they have a QB, but you're going to waste the 10th overall. You're going to trade up to the 10th overall pick.
Yeah.
And then take a QB when you already have a QB that is killing it.
And it was crazy, too, because Buffalo at that time needed a quarterback, too. So their quarterback on the roster who started was Tyrod Taylor.
Which not a bad.
He's not bad, but like Buffalo, they were going into full rebuild. Doug McDermott had just been named the coach, and they were just trying to compile as many picks as possible, which... Hey, that's the smart thing to do unless Patrick Mahomes becomes a star, which he did. But again, you can say the exact same thing with Mahomes in Buffalo as if he would have went to the Bears. Buffalo was even in worse position, in worse shape than the Bears. So Buffalo, they had really nobody. They didn't have a good defense. They didn't have a good offense. And even like Buffalo now, Buffalo now is a lot better. They did end up getting Josh Allen with a 2018 pick that was involved in the trade.
Well, and that's what you're probably, if you stay at 10, you're probably drafting a QB. You're never going to get Josh Allen. Who knows where he goes?
Yeah. Maybe Josh Allen goes to the Kansas City the next year.
Yeah.
Who knows? So, but yeah, but it's like fun to, like, just like we do with every other episode, it's fun to see, all right, what if this happened? Could they have won a championship? Or would they be exactly where they are now? Or would they be even worse than they are now? So
that's what, all right. So there's been, 9 seasons?
Yep.
Since they've played 9 seasons?
Yep.
All right. Say it's flipped. Say everything's the exact same, but Chicago drafted Mahomes and not Minnesota. Kansas City drafted Trubisky. Do you think either of them win Super Bowls? How many and
I think
or who has the better chance?
I think the Bears have the better chance. I think it wouldn't happen right away, but they build around Mahomes like year 2, year 3. They'd get some better wide receivers.
Say it was the exact same thing the next 3-4 years. Exactly how everything else went.
I don't think anything like there would be no dynasty, but I think the Bears would win one.
Really?
I think they'd win one Super Bowl.
How about Kansas City?
Kansas City, I think they would win a one if they're lucky, but probably not.
See, I think Kansas City still has the better outcome. Like, I think they would win. I'm not saying even if either of them would win necessarily.
Yeah.
I think overall record, let's just say, in those next 4 or 5 years, Kansas City still has the better record because of everything else around it. And I know Chicago had a great defense. I mean, Khalil Mack was, what was he, the top defense and top special teams or something that one year, or Pro Bowl in both?
Yeah, he was.
Or something like that.
He was insane.
It's insane, yeah. I can't believe they ever traded him.
Yeah.
But they needed to get some stuff back after trading up to the number 2, you know. But I honestly think that it turns out where Kansas City's not as good as they are now because two very different playing styles. Yeah. And Patrick Mahomes worked with Andy Reid very good. And you need to have that connection and stuff. And who knows if Trubisky would have had that connection. However, I still think that they would have been better off because I don't think Mahomes would have had the greatest connection with John Fox either. Honestly, I don't think he would have
John
worked.
Fox wasn't really a QB whisperer, so I agree with that. But
I mean, he won the Super Bowl here, but dude, you got Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Peyton Manning was basically the.
Do you
the
need to coach?
Yeah, you had Peyton Manning and Von Miller, both playing at like the height of the game. We had it was just the no-fly zone.
Dude, you've got. That Super Bowl team was stacked. Honestly, those 4 years that we had Peyton was really stacked. And John Elway,
it was a lot of fun. It was a fun team to watch.
Yep. But, all right, so if, like we can say, people right now in this draft, okay, draft is this week, who are we thinking? Do we think a team will trade up, like give that much away for a QB like Trubisky or Mahomes or what? Like, do we think there's a team that's like, all right, hey, they're gonna give a king's ransom or something like that? Yep.
I don't think it's gonna be in a trade. I'm on Twitter a lot and I'm looking at rumors and stuff, and I haven't seen anything about teams wanting to trade up. And this year's draft is not a very QB heavy team. But there's always at least one team that are very desperate for a quarterback that they hone in on one guy and the real gem is like way over here. Mm-hmm. And they're not even looking at that guy, which I think, in my opinion, I think Cam Ward is that, like I think he's a little overhyped. Like, I'm seeing the Titans, everything I'm seeing is, hey, they're drafting Cam Ward. They like him the best and they have the number 1 overall pick. So they definitely can. Mm-hmm. But I think he has a lot more experience than like Mitchell Trubisky did.
Do you think he's a Trubisky or like a Mahomes? What do you think he's going to be? Because it's pretty much 2 QBs. Yeah. Probably in the first round, it'll be Shador and then Ward.
Yeah.
That's pretty much.
I also think like Jackson Dart could be in the first round from Ole Miss. I think Jalen Milroe maybe. But I think, definitely the top 2 is between Cam Ward and Shador. So I don't really know
Do you think they could be like a Trubisky, Mahomes in 7-8 years?
I think they could. But I think Cam Ward is more like that than Shador.
That he's more Trubisky-like?
Yeah. Maybe not as Trubisky-like, but not like a superstar, not a franchise quarterback. But, I mean, that's just my opinion.
I honestly don't know if either of them are going to be a franchise quarterback, to be honest with you. I could see Shador, he just finds ways to win. Yeah. And it almost kind of reminds me of Tim Tebow in a way, but he was definitely... Tim Tebow was one of the greatest college quarterbacks ever. Yeah. But when it came to NFL, it just didn't translate as much, you know. But he found ways to win. Shador, I think, will be a better QB. Yeah. But in just watching him at CU, he just found ways to win and stuff. And so it'll be interesting, especially just how it's going and stuff. But I hope that in 8 years we're doing a what if the Titans picked Shador Sanders instead of Cam Ward, and Shador's just going off for whoever.
Honestly, if I was the Titans GM, I don't even think I'd take a quarterback, though, because I think the one biggest problem that teams make is they go searching and fishing for quarterbacks, hoping that, hey, this is our guy. And then the next year, they're right back to having top 5 picks. And then it's like, all right, this guy is our guy. It's like the Titans need a lot more help than I think just a quarterback.
Yeah, but it starts at QB though, too.
Yeah, it starts at quarterback, but it's almost like, hey, if you need a lot more other stuff, like fix that kind of first, and then you can. Like,
I would take almost best available kind of thing, which who knows? We can debate about that, but that's not really what we're like. We don't really want to talk about that, you know. It could go anywhere, you know. Yeah. But tell us what you guys think. Let us know if you think Mahomes or Trubisky would have had the better career.
Yeah. And then
me and Kyle kind of disagree.
Yeah.
Either way, like in an alternate universe, who would have had the better career? Obviously, we know Mahomes has had the better career. If he goes to Chicago, Trubisky goes to Kansas City, who has a better career? Who's still playing, like starting?
And then also, like, in this year's draft, let us know who do you think is going to be the biggest bust. Quarterback-wise, I guess you could open it to
anybody, really.
Other positions, but we were talking mostly quarterbacks in the episode. But
one more thing, go Broncos.
Yep.
You know, hopefully we get some good picks and everything. Go Broncos, go Nuggets, go Avs, both in the playoffs. I'd say go Rockies, but I don't know if they want to win. We might have single-digit wins. Who knows?
Hopefully.
But that's all we got. We hope you enjoyed it. Be on the lookout for some more what-ifs, and let us know if you guys have any other what-ifs that you want us to tackle.
Yeah, we hope you guys liked the episode, and I hope you have a great week.
Yeah. Peace.